This is the first video all day. Well, not all day because I did some videos before, but I'm doing like a whole another set because I do my videos in sets so I can get a lot of them done. So if you're wondering how I get so many videos done, this is how I do it. Real quick, let's pull this up.
Oh. Seek recognition for a
let me start all over. Not gonna start yet. All right. So this is the Representative Alexandria Cortez responds to Rep. Ted Yoho. Mr. Yoho. I haven't seen this video, and this is gonna be my first political video that I've done. But this is something that I kind of this is what I like watching. I'm interested in politics in a sense. Some of the things that could be on it could be considered entertaining, and I just enjoy just like understanding what these politicians are even saying and what they believe in. People, regardless of how much they may attempt to like tell you how they feel, and if you distrust them, people always end up telling you how they really feel. You just kind of got to read nonverbals, you got to read facial expressions, and sometimes you really just got to read exactly what they're saying. You just got to listen. So this is going to be interesting, and I am a fan of so far of Miss Alexandria, Representative Alexandria, because she's kind of always spoke her mind. And I have never, as of yet, I haven't seen her on the wrong side. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's see.
Madam Speaker, I seek recognition for a question of personal privilege.
The chair has been made aware of the valid base for the gentlewoman's point of personal privilege. The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 1 hour.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would also like to thank many of my colleagues for the opportunity to not only speak today, but for the many members from both sides of the aisle who have reached out to me in support following an incident earlier this week. About 2 days ago, I was walking up the steps of the Capitol when Representative Yoho suddenly turned a corner, and he was accompanied by Representative Roger Williams, and accosted me on the steps right here in front of our nation's Capitol. I was minding my own business, walking up the steps, and Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind. And he called me dangerous. And then he took a few more steps, and after I had recognized his comments as rude, he walked away and said, "I'm rude. You're calling me rude." I took a few steps ahead and I walked inside and cast my vote, because my constituents send me here each and every day to fight for them and to make sure that they are able to keep a roof over their head, that they're able
to. You guys say you better never stick your finger in my face. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I guess it's cool, but don't disrespect me though. Cause it's kind of wild, like how some people, it'd be the same people is gonna sue the mess out of you, try to push you to your limits. Barely will touch your eyelash and push you to the limit.
Feed their families, and that they're able to carry their lives with dignity. I walked back out, and there were reporters in the front of the Capitol. And in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, "a fucking bitch."
They wild out here. Y'all better not talk about rap no more. Y'all better not talk about the effects of hip hop no more. Y'all better not do that.
These are the words that Representative Yoho levied against a congresswoman. The congresswoman that not only represents New York's 14th congressional district, but every congresswoman and every woman in this country. Because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives. And I want to be clear that Representative Yoho's comments were not deeply hurtful or piercing to me because I have worked a working class job. I have waited tables in restaurants. I have ridden the subway. I have walked the streets in New York City. And this kind of language is not new. I have encountered words uttered by Mr. Yoho and men uttering the same words as Mr. Yoho while I was being harassed in restaurants. I have tossed men out of bars that have used language like Mr. Yoho's. And I have encountered this type of harassment.
No, she said she tossed mofos out for that. She said she tossed people out for that type of language. She said she a congresswoman now, but you know what I'm saying? She said she been walking the streets.
Riding the subway in New York City. This is not new. And that is the problem. Mr. Yoho was not alone. He was walking shoulder to shoulder with Representative Roger Williams. And that's when we start to see that this issue is not about one incident.
It's never.
It is cultural.
Yo, it is never about one specific incident. When the whole George Floyd situation happened, okay, when we had the rollout for the barbecue, I don't think her name was Karen, but the Karen rollouts first began when the lady was tripping about the dudes barbecuing in the park using a charcoal grill. Like it has never been about one specific incident. Okay, you can try to isolate these incidents. You know what I'm saying? And even speaking where she's coming from, like when you're talking about, I wish I remember her name, the Hispanic military woman. Go ahead and hit the comments. You know what I'm saying? And tell me what's her name, because no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? I wish I did remember her name. But the woman that they was murdered by a guy and a lady, and the military, I think they were trying to hide some stuff. Like it has never been one incident. We see these little incidents, and I think in a way to cope with the world mentally, a lot of people try to make it seem like that was one situation. If you don't deal with a lot of Black people, if you don't deal with a lot of Hispanic people or white, whatever you want to look at it, it's a lot easier to make situations just, oh, that was that one time. It's a whole lot easier to do that. But yeah, I feel what she's saying.
It is a culture of lack of impunity, of accepting of violence and violent language against women, and an entire structure of power that supports that. Because not only have I been spoken to disrespectfully, particularly by members of the Republican Party and elected officials in the Republican Party, not just here, but the President of the United States last year told me to go home to another country, with the implication that I don't even belong in America.
Yo.
The governor of Florida,
Yo.
Governor DeSantis, before I even was sworn in, called me a whatever that is. Dehumanizing language is not new. And what we are seeing is that incidents like these are happening in a pattern. This is a pattern of an attitude towards women and dehumanization of others. So while I was not deeply hurt or offended by little comments that are made, when I was reflecting on this, I honestly thought that I was just going to pack it up and go home. It's just another day, right? But then yesterday, Representative Yoho decided to come to the floor of the House of Representatives
What he say?
And make excuses for his behavior. And that I could not let go. I could not allow my nieces.
No.
I could not allow the little girls that I go home to.
No.
I could not allow victims of verbal abuse and worse to see that excuse, and to see our Congress accept it as legitimate.
No.
And accept it as an apology.
Yeah.
And to accept silence as a form.
If I'm talking too much during the video, sometimes it's hard for me, you know what I'm saying? I know I had a couple people that had a problem with me doing it in the comments, but it's like church. The way she's talking right now, it's like church. So I'm gonna try to hold it. I'm gonna try to hold it back. Okay? Go ahead and subscribe, y'all.
Acceptance. I could not allow that to stand, which is why I'm rising today to raise this point of personal privilege. And I do not need Representative Yoho to apologize to me. Clearly, he does not want to. Clearly, when given the opportunity, he will not.
Whoa.
And I will not stay up late at night waiting for an apology from a man who has no remorse over calling women and using abusive language towards women. But what I do have issue with is using women, our wives and daughters, as shields and excuses for poor behavior.
Facts.
Mr. Yoho mentioned that he has a wife and 2 daughters.
Yo, I'm gonna pause this real quick, yo. Me and my homeboy had this conversation about one thing you never do is you never get into an argument with a woman, girl, whatever. Like, you can't get into an argument like that, especially not in an aggressive manner. You know what I mean? And not to the sense of like no equality, but it can only go to a certain level. So if you're I'm not, you know what, I'm gonna just say, if you're a real man, and I'm gonna speak for myself, is the morals that I hold myself to, I will only get to a certain level with a female. I'm not gonna go like to the fullest extent. I'm gonna get to a certain level and I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna have a thought process. And this is something I learned over years, but a lot of these people out here need to learn it. You know what I mean? And trust me, I get it. I understand there are certain scenarios that could change. I'm not talking about in those scenarios. I'm talking about when a dude comes up like in this situation and just call and just you cursing her. When you gotta walk up to a female and curse her out, something is weak about you.
2 years younger than Mr. Yoho's youngest daughter. I am someone's daughter too. My father, thankfully, is not alive to see how Mr. Yoho treated his daughter. My mother got to see Mr. Yoho's disrespect on the floor of this house towards me on television. And I am here because I have to show my parents that I am their daughter and that they did not raise me to accept abuse from men. Now, what I am here to say is that this harm that Mr. Yoho tried to levy against me was not just an incident directed at me. But when you do that to any woman, what Mr. Yoho did was give permission to other men to do that to his daughters.
Yeah.
In using that language in front of the press, he gave permission to use that language against his wife.
I like this technique that she's using. Right? It's how does it feel on the other side? And so now, I can't really control how people may see this. So if they do that to your daughter, see how that shit feel.
Daughters, women in his community. And I am here to stand up to say that is not acceptable.
Nope.
I do not care what your views are. It does not matter how much I disagree or how much it incenses me or how much I feel that people are dehumanizing others. I will not do that myself. I will not allow people to change and create hatred in our hearts. And so what I believe is that Having a daughter does not make a man decent. Having a wife
It
does
don't.
not make a
No.
decent man.
No.
Treating people with dignity and respect makes a decent man. And when a decent man messes up, as we all are bound to do, he tries his best and does apologize.
Right.
Not to save face, not to win a vote. He apologizes genuinely to repair and acknowledge the harm done so that we can all move on. Lastly, what I want to express to Mr. Yoho is gratitude. I want to thank him for showing the world that you can be a powerful man and accost women. You can have daughters and accost women without remorse. You can be married and accost women. You can take photos and project an image to the world of being a family man and accost women without remorse and with a sense of impunity. It happens every day in this country. It happened here on the steps of our nation's capital. It happens when individuals who hold the highest office in this land admit to hurting women and using this language against all of us. But once again, I thank my colleagues for joining us today. I will reserve the hour of my time and I will yield to my colleague, Representative J.cole of Washington. Thank you.
That was good. That was a good little video. Y'all, let me know if you like this little vibe that I'm doing. It's a 16-minute video, but I don't think I had a choice because I had to say some of that stuff, man. If you like this what I'm doing here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you leave some comments, and I will definitely be doing this in the future.